Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
So, election updates still coming in as a Democratic candidate makes history and Vice President Mike Pence joins the president in denying defeat for Republicans. Four-term Congressman Jeff Denham has conceded his race in California's Central Valley to Democrat Josh Harder. And in New Jersey, Representative Tom MacArthur, one of the architects of the 2017 Republican health care bill, has conceded his race to Democrat Andy Kim. A former aide to President Obama, Kim will be the first Korean American to serve in Congress in 20 years and the first ever to represent the state of New Jersey. The updated count in California's 39th district shows the lead of Korean American Republican Young Kim has shrunk to just 122 votes over Democrat Gil Cisneros. And Democrat Katie Porter is now nearly 4,000 votes ahead of Republican incumbent Mimi Walters. But in an interview with NBC News this morning, Vice President Mike Pence says he thought the Democrats failed to make sizable gains.
We made history by expanding our majority in the Senate. We won some great elections in the governor's offices around the country, and we didn't really see that blue wave in the House of Representatives come our way. I think it's because the American people see the results.
They see the result. There are no results because he didn't do the infrastructure. He didn't do a health care plan. He didn't do a wall. He did. There was a blue wave. It was for real. And I got news for you. The numbers are starting to actually get firmed up and coming in, and except for Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi. You know, the Old South. It's still, you know, the Old South in so many ways. We use coal-fired voting machines in Broward County, apparently, and we need mechanics. Not IT people, mechanics. So that's where we are here in Florida. The hand recount. We need to do a hand recount. I swear to God. It's like, you know, yeah. So it's kind of crazy here. But with that, minus Mississippi, there will be a runoff for your governor's seat on November 27th. We're waiting to see if there's going to be a runoff with Stacey Abrams and Kemp in Georgia. That would happen on December 4th. And we don't know what the hell happened in Florida yet. But that aside, we had a blue tsunami in California. No, really, it was huge. They are taking pen to paper in California going, oh, my God, the Republican Party is dead. It's not salvageable in California now. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's one-party rule in California, and oh, my God, they're going to be all, you know, like fresh air and clean watery. We won so far 34 House seats. There are 7 undecided and still, you know, still being cast. So that would put us at 41? That would be the largest gain in 40 years in a midterm election. 40 years. So, I mean, you know, Fox News wants to lie to you, and, you know, people don't want to, and Pence wants to stand there. We didn't see the blue wave. We didn't, you know, let them say what they want. This was huge. This is enormous. We flipped 7 states, went from Republican to Democrat in their state houses. We got 7 governors. As I said, we don't know, you know, if that'll go to 9 with Florida and Georgia, you know, being what it is, the Old South and all, right? California, the Republican Party is all but dead. I think you have 1 Republican representative in that delegation. I'm not, you know, because they're still counting. But the real, well, not the real, but another great portion of the blue wave is exactly what I sat here and screamed and spit out my spleen to get you to pay attention to, especially when people called me and said, why do we have to vote in California? It's all blue. Well, it's not all blue. And you still manage to elect a guy under indictment, right? You did get rid of Rohrbacher. For that, I am very grateful. But, you still got your Duncan Hunter over there who's indicted. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's like 60 counts. It's just nuts. But the Democratic wins are humongous in the state legislatures. And that is so important because we all see what gerrymandering does to us. We all see that since 2010, and the Republicans have controlled 36 states, and the maps that guide those 36 states, meaning the gerrymandering of your district, in order for you to be represented in your state locally on issues that you care about locally, like your schools, like water, like the budget, all the. So you got to look at Colorado, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine, Minnesota, 7 governorships, Nevada, New Mexico, Kansas, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Maine. I mean, this is significant. This is huge because we're going to have another census in 2020. And all the maps for the election will be drawn in the state houses across this land, okay? Also, the states are going to decide now with Democratic leadership and Democratic governors and Democratic majorities. They're going to decide in states that didn't expand Medicaid whether or not to take that federal money, like $700 billion sitting there for Florida. That's why it matters who wins this thing. There's $700 billion federal dollars sitting there. Florida can't take it because Rick Scott didn't want it, because Rick Scott, was trying to prove his bona fides as, being a guy who's on the side of, the big hospitals who don't want to see Medicaid patients, right? They just rather take you through the ER and charge me for your care. Well, I'm sick of it, and you should be too. But remember, the fight to pass and then repeal Obamacare, it's been in the national headlines for at least 10 years, but the state governments, they have so much power in how and where the health care law will be put into practice. And so these state legislatures are amazing. The redistricting, also state governments and local school boards, these are like really important things. And so while the blue states do support the red states, oh yeah, blue states pay, they get it back, for every dollar a blue state sends to the federal government, maybe they get 75 cents back, but for every dollar a red state sends to the government, you get back like $1.25, $1.79, depending on how poor your state is. And governors in red states have been incentivized to do exactly that, to take from the blue states and to, use that to balance their budgets. It's a sick plan that they have. But until these midterms, Republicans had this huge majority. They had a huge advantage, controlling so many more state governments. They could draw the district lines. They had, all kinds of power over your school boards, and they had all kinds of power over your health care. Well, apparently Americans, got hip to this whole scam, and they voted, and they voted in droves. This was like the highest, was the highest turnout in a midterm election ever. Seriously, let me read 538. Okay, let me read from 538. And this is not today. This is 2 days ago. So the numbers are a little different today, and they will be a little different after the weekend because the hand recount begins in Florida on Saturday. By the way, if you voted provisionally in Florida, you have until Saturday at 5 p.m. to show whatever it was that you didn't have with you when they made you vote provisionally and get your ballot counted, because a judge extended the deadline for you to do that because they said Florida violated and did irreparable harm to people who were denied regular ballots and forced to vote provisionally by not allowing them to cure whatever forced them to vote provisionally ahead of the close of the election. So we have court, Scott is in there, and Scott is lying, and Scott is at the Senate, and he's participating in orientation and all. And it's so bizarre because the race has to be hand counted, and it won't be started until Saturday. But anyway, so this is what 538 said. This midterm election saw an unusual trend. The chambers swung in opposite directions, and we knew that would happen because we had to defend so many more seats in the Senate than the Republicans did this time around. I'm not even going to explain to you again, okay? Senate isn't always, all the Senate seats are not up for re-election at the same time. Luck of the draw had it that Democrats would be forced to defend more seats than Republicans, and so it was a difficult, and that's why everybody said, we'll probably lose a Senate seat or two, and we did. And we did. But we don't know what the Senate makeup is going to be. We think it'll be, depending on these recounts, right? We think it'll be 51-49, which is kind of what it is now. So, but anyway, they say the Democratic pickup of 38 seats in the House, that number is even larger than 2006. The last time Democrats regained the House from Republicans in 2006, they acquired 32 seats. So this time we think we'd got 38 to 40 seats. And that would be the highest turnover in 40 years. 116 million people cast a ballot. That's about 49% of the eligible voting population. That is unprecedented. 23 states had double-digit percentage point increases in voter turnout compared to their 82 to 2014 midterm average. 82 to 2014, okay? In Georgia, Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp's race, an estimated 55% of eligible voters tried to vote. We don't know if their votes were counted, but they tried to vote. That's 21 points higher than the state of Georgia has posted from 1982 to 2014. We have elected 114 women so far. That is the largest class of female lawmakers ever. And it's the most diverse Congress ever. This was a giant blue wave. So far we know we have 34 House seats. We got 7 still, counting. We have 7 governorships. 2 of them, Florida and Georgia, we don't know. State legislatures added 380 seats to the Democratic list. 7 states outright flipped from GOP to Democrat. California is dead to the Republican Party. It's not viable. It doesn't exist. And the president is sitting at home in a sullen, bitter mood, tweeting his ass off, watching Fox and Friends, and eating. Oh my God, he's like a scorned. I told you, ain't no fury like a woman scorned, right? I mean, that commercial was just so good. Well, here we go. Blue wave, everybody. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.